Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. K. Abhinaya from the Department of English, St. Joseph's College of Engineering. Today, I will be talking about 20 strategies in public speaking. These are simple, practical techniques that can help us become more confident and effective speakers. Let me begin with a simple question. How many of you have ever been asked to speak in front of a class and suddenly felt your heart beating faster? I think most of us have experienced that moment. The interesting thing is that public speaking is not something people are born with. It is a skill that can be learned and improved. Every great speaker you admire today was once a beginner. Let's start with the first strategy. The first strategy is proper speech planning. Friends, imagine starting a journey without knowing the destination. What happens? You get lost. The same thing happens in public speaking. Before we speak, we must know what am I going to say, why I am saying it, who am I speaking to. Whenever we prepare a presentation, we should ask ourselves these questions. Once the purpose becomes clear, the speech becomes easier. Once the purpose becomes clear, the speech becomes easier. So, the first lesson is simple: think before you speak, plan before you present. The second important point is having a proper rehearsal. Do the singers sing without having any rehearsals? Of course not. They have enough rehearsals. Similarly, even before we present, we need to have a lot of rehearsals. Many students prepare the content but forget to rehearse. The more you practice, the more natural your speech becomes. Therefore, you should practice until you get it right and until you cannot get it wrong. Enough rehearsal is equally important. Moving on to the second one, confidence in speech. Being nervous is normal. It is okay to be nervous, but you should be in a position to overcome it. Confidence is not about having no fear, but it is speaking despite having fear. The moment you begin speaking, your confidence start growing. Confidence definitely comes from preparation and practice. The next strategy is logical organization of ideas. Have you listened to somebody and wondered what exactly is this person talking about? A good speech should flow smoothly. One idea should lead naturally to the next. Think of it like telling a story. So, your presentation should have a proper introduction, content, and conclusion. And the next strategy is smiling face. One of the important aspects which we must remember while giving presentation is having a smiling face. A smile is a very powerful communication tool. It tells the audience, I'm happy to be here. It reduces tension. It creates connection. And most importantly, it makes the speaker appear approachable. A smile costs nothing but creates tremendous value. Always try to have a smiling face while making a presentation. And the next important point is total engagement in speech. Suppose you are presenting your content. If you do it without any energy, what would happen? Nobody feels like listening to you. Therefore, you must engage yourself with the content. You must show some enthusiasm. Therefore, the students or the people who are listening to you listens with enthusiasm. Energy is important and you should engage yourself with the speech. And the next is tonal variation. You should use proper pitch and intonation whenever you're communicating. Compare that with a voice that raises voice, slows down, and speeds up. Which one is more interesting? Obviously, the second. The voice is an instrument, allowing to use it effectively, friendship for the audience. One mistake many speakers make is treating the audience like strangers. I prefer to think the audience as friends. When we speak with warmth and respect, people listen more carefully. Instead of delivering a speech, have a conversation. That change makes a huge difference. Conscious, conscious of process. Many beginners think they must keep speaking continuously. Actually, pauses are important. A pause gives the audience time to think. It also gives the speaker time to breathe. Sometimes a pause can be more powerful than a sentence. Coherence in speech. Everything we say should be connected. A speech should feel like one complete picture, not 20 separate pieces. There are many words such as therefore, however, in addition, which can be used in order to help ideas connect smoothly. Coherent speech is easy to follow. Your presentation should have a rising tone, a falling tone. You have to slow down and speed up. Obviously, it is appealing to the listener. Your voice is an instrument, therefore, you should learn to use it effectively. And the next point is friendship with the audience. You need to build rapport and connect personally. When we speak naturally, the with warmth and respect, people listen carefully. Instead of delivering a speech, it is better to have a conversation. That small change makes a huge difference. The next point is having pauses, conscious use of pauses. Pause for impact and reflection. Many beginners think that they speak confident if they're doing it faster. Actually, pauses are important. A pause gives the audience time to think. It also gives the speaker time to breathe. Sometimes a pause can be more powerful than a sentence. It is important to give a pause wherever required rather than going too fast. And the next important point is coherence in speech. There are transition words like however, meanwhile, in addition, first, next, then, later, etc. It is mandatory to use all these words so that your speech sounds natural and coherent. The next important point is proper pronunciation. Just remain now and not have a perfect accent, and that's absolutely fine. But clarity is important. Clarity is important. Speak clearly, speak confidently, speak understandably. Non-verbal communication. I say I'm very excited today, but my face looks tired and unhappy. What will you believe me? Probably not. Our body language must support our words. Eye contact, facial expressions, gestures, postures, all these communicate meaning. Good pronunciation matters because communication matters. If the audience cannot understand us, our message is lost. We may not have a perfect accent, and that's absolutely fine. But clarity is important. Speak clearly, speak confidently, and speak understandably. And the next point is non-verbal communication. It is having proper eye contact, gestures, and posture. Let me tell you something. If I say I'm very excited today, but my face looks dull and unhappy, will you believe me? Of course not, because our body language matters a lot. It must support our words. You need to have a proper eye contact, facial expressions, gestures, postures, and all these communicate meaning. The next point is interaction. Nobody likes listening to one day lecture for a long time. People enjoy participation, so ask questions, invite opinions, encourage responses. Interaction transforms listeners into participants. Humor is like salt and food. A little makes everything better. It is a planned joke. Too much spoils the dish. Appropriate humor keeps the audience relaxed, and even when you are thorough with your when you prepare for your presentation, it is better to create. It is better to create some humor in it so that the listeners enjoy listening. Students listener enjoy listening. The point is that you need to ask a lot of questions and involve listeners during your presentation. Nobody likes listening to one way lecture for a very long time. People enjoy participation. So you need to ask a lot of questions, invite opinions, encourage responses. Interaction transforms listeners into participants. The next point is humor. When you prepare for your presentation, it is always better to have some jokes. These are nothing but planned jokes. While preparing your content, you can also prepare humor in between so that the students or the audience, whoever is listening to you, enjoys listening. It is like a salt in a food. A little makes everything better. Too much spoils the dish. Appropriate humor keeps the audience relaxed and attentive. However, humor should never hurt or embarrass anyone. So, but if I tell you one meaningful story, you may remember it for years. That is why examples and stories are powerful speaking tools. The next is giving stories and examples. Stories make ideas memorable. People forget information. People remember stories. If I tell you 10 facts today, obviously you may forget most of them. But if I tell you one meaningful story, you may remember it for years. That is why examples and stories are powerful speaking tools. Always try to give a lot of examples so that the listeners or the audience understand the message. Next is three-dimensional approach. A good speech should reflect the head, the heart, and the hands. In other words, people should understand your message, feel your message, and act on your message. This is true communication. Further, you should have eye contact with the audience, look at the left, center, and the right. Communicate. The next is three-dimensional approach, explaining the head, heart, and hands. Whenever you present, see to that you have eye contact with the audience. Have three-dimensional view. Look at the people at the left, center, and the right. You need to focus on everybody. In addition, it is also appealing to one's head. to their heart and the hands. In other words, people should understand your message, feel your message, and act on your message. That is true communication. The next point is visual aids. Please support the message, but you shouldn't make your visual aids dominate. A picture can often explain what a paragraph cannot. That is why we use slides, charts, videos, and images. However, remember one important rule. You are the presenter, the slide is only the support system. Never become a reader of slides. It is better to include a few visual aids and it shouldn't be covered with a lot of aids. And the next point is handling unexpected situations. It is not always as you plan. Sometimes technology fails, internet connection stops, questions become difficult, unexpected things happen. A good speaker remains calm. The audience usually remembers how we handle the problem more than the problem itself. So, another important factor is that you need to be ready to face unexpected situations. National speaker is respecting time. Starting on time is important, ending on time is equally important. The audience appreciates speakers who value their time, seeking feedback. Finally, after every speech, ask yourself what went well, what can I improve? Growth begins with feedback. Every successful speaker is a lifelong learner. The best speakers are not those who know everything, they are those who continue improving. The next is time consciousness. One quality of a professional speaker is respecting time. Starting on time is important. At the same time, ending on time is equally important. The audience appreciates speakers who value their time. Always fix the time and see to that you speak accordingly. And the next topic is seeking feedback for better performances. Finally, after you speak, you need to ask for feedback and also ask yourself, what went well? What can I improve? Growth begins with feedback. Every successful speaker is a lifelong learner. The best speakers are not those who know everything, but are those who continue improving. Feedback is mandatory. You need to analyze yourself, self introspect. In addition, you could also ask suggestions from the audiences. And finally, from planning and practice to confidence, interaction, storytelling, visual aids, and feedback, each strategy contributes to effective communication. Remember, public speaking is not about speaking perfectly, it is about communicating effectively. If you consistently apply these 20 strategies, you will gradually become more confident, engaging, and impactful speaker. Thank you.